All right, here we are back with another episode of On the DELO. That's funny. Once I take that off, I stop yelling. It's so funny. So I'm excited for today. I've got. You guys are my friends now,
Yes,
the
we
Boone
are.
brothers.
100%.
I mean,
We're here.
in the house,
We are
live.
Here we are.
And
Blessed.
as I was telling you earlier, the minute you guys walked in the office, all the ladies came just running out of their office, like, "Oh my God!"
I got to invest in some neck braces for everybody.
Yeah.
Turning their head. when we
Who
walk
are
in.
those men?
And we're going to talk about neck braces a little bit later because there was something on Jeremy's podcast that was just of a lot of interest. But before we get into that, we have Jason and Malcom. And what's the age difference with you guys?
We are 5 years apart.
5 years apart. And what was it like being little brother?
Ah, little brother. It was tough. It was tough. I was always, I feel like, following in his footsteps. I had a lot of what I used to feel. I had big shoes to fill,
Yeah.
you know, and just because Jason was super intelligent in school, things came really quick to him. He was this high-profile athlete, you know, and was getting recruited and was just bigger, and I feel like he had it, right? So I'm following him, and I was like the opposite. School was hard, right? I wasn't heavily recruited in basketball or other sports, and it was tough. But, you know, I used that as fuel, and
Yeah.
we always had that competitive edge, and here we are today, and it's beautiful.
And how sweet were you to your brother and nice, you know, helping bring him up?
I wasn't that nice to him
No.
growing up. I always joke that like if I didn't have him nipping at my heels, I would have peaked in high school. I was a prom king. I was a star athlete. I was the smartest kid in all the school, taking AP classes, all that kind of shit. But it was one of those things where, you know, if I would have let that time of my life be the best time of my life, I think I would have been doing myself a disservice. I think always having my brother kind of there wanting to learn from me kind of pushed me to be the better version of myself. And I had a chance to go overseas, play basketball, come back now, you know, run a tech company. And it's just like, it's fun to be in a situation now where we're looking at each other as peers, and we can work together on things and just kind of get the best out of each other at all times.
Yeah. And let's talk about your season of life now. I mean, you both are very good athletes. We're both, you know, professional athletes. That was obviously in your 20s, and then all of a sudden you have this new season of life that, you know, comes across. How do you analyze all that in your head? Are you like, okay, I'm so grateful for the experience and what I did then. I can compartmentalize that, and now you guys are just stoked to be where you're at in life now?
Yeah, a ton of it comes from a lot of what we did learn overseas. You know, a lot of the coaches, a lot of the lessons, the disciplines that we've came across and have come into our life, we kind of use that to transition into this part of our life. So now I'm a third grade teacher, right?
Yep.
So it's like, what can you use from being a professional athlete to be better in the classroom, to be better for your kids, for your colleagues, right? And so for me, it's this thing of showing up and being your best every day, right? Life is a gift, right?
Yeah.
It really, really is. And the younger generation coming in behind us, they have access to so much, right? And so learning about breath work and meditation and things like that, I think it's really important for the younger generation coming up. And so that's like one of my main missions, to give out not only to my students, but just give out to the world, right? Stay consistent, find breathing, find stillness. There's so much just passion.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, when it comes to that.
And you honestly like kids?
I like kids. I like kids. I do. I see what you did there. Is it a loving? I love teaching. No, it's not, and I'll tell anybody that.
Yeah.
But it is something that I enjoy. It gives me the balance and freedom to do the things I want to do on the side in terms of building a brand and doing everything else around that. So
100%, yeah.
Enjoy it.
You still got a longer train right ahead of you. So I mean, that's good. And Jason, and you're in tech, so what kind of have you put together, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so I like to sum it up to three different things that I learned while being an athlete, playing basketball, and taking that into kind of the business world that I find myself in now. And that's just staying competitive, right? So on the basketball court, obviously I had to go in there and I had to work every day. I had to compete against my teammates, against the people I was playing against. Sales is kind of the same way, right? It's not cutthroat, but it is competitive.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also had to stay coachable, because starting over at something was, you know, it's difficult to kind of come in as a rookie again. I was 35 when I started working at the company I'm at now, but I didn't have years of sales experience. I just had life experience, so I had to kind of come in with that mindset of being, okay, I don't know these things. I have to learn from these people. So staying competitive, staying coachable, and then just staying consistent, like Malcolm said, So we kind of wrap it up in those 3 C's. But if I can stay consistent and show up every day and work hard every day, then I can put myself in a position to be as successful in what I'm doing now as I was when I was playing basketball.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I mean, it's funny how we kind of just go into these other seasons of life, and then basically you guys are in your second career is what you would call it. And so the consistency is huge, when you're able to do that, and you have to refigure out what that whole module, of time is.
For sure.
So tell me, either one of you, how important is, it's obvious. It's obvious. How important is the fitness regime to, your everyday life and being productive in business and just with relationships and stuff like that?
It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, to sum it up, it really is, because I know, and we know what it's like to not get up and train. We know what it's like to not move your body. We know what it's like to be injured and not be yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that, it comes with a piece of just being grateful. If you have the chance to get to, you need to. Right, you should. And for us, we've seen the benefit of it, and it's really just changed our life, And it wasn't always that way, right? Growing up, fitness wasn't really a thing, right? We were athletes, so we almost had to, but it wasn't by choice.
Right.
So now, being in this phase of life, we've seen just the absolute benefits of it, and also the relationships that it creates, right? The way we feel, the way we look, the way we move, and the health benefits that come with it. Obviously, this is about longevity, and we want to stay alive as long as we can, but not just stay alive. We want to stay alive and feel good, right? That's the key.
For sure.
That was a teacher answer. I just don't want to be the fat athlete. A lot of my teammates, I watch them fall off, and it's just like, it's sad. I'm like, these guys were at the pinnacle. They were at their top, fittest, and they let themselves fall off the hill so far. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I just never want to feel that way. I never want to look at myself and say, like, okay, I peaked at 15, or I peaked at 20, or I peaked at 25. I always just want to keep that consistent, competitive mindset and just continue to get better at the things that I'm trying to do. And I think it runs parallel with business, with whatever career you're in. If you decide to just take days off and sit back and let things come to you, it translates into other parts of your life. And I just always have to have that kind of competitive edge to be a little bit better than I was yesterday.
Yeah, and look, I mean, make no bones about it. You guys are obviously genetically gifted. You obviously came from a little bit of a head start from other people, or short Italians like myself. Not a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, as you get older, if you don't keep up with this shit, it can fall off. Quickly, yeah. And you guys are both in phenomenal shape, and it's not just because you have genetics, it's because you work your ass off.
100%.
So what is your definition of fitness right now at this part of your life?
Great question. For me, it's how well you can get through a workout and then turn around and do it again, right? So like you can go all out and you can kill yourself in the gym, but if you're dead for 3 days, then you're not really fit, right? So it's like pushing yourself, finding that level where you're getting better, but to a point where it's like, okay, if I had to, I could turn around and do this again.
Yeah.
And just being able to move. For me, it's like I've seen guys who, Malcolm said, we've been through injuries. The best ability is availability always. And if you can find ways to just like keep yourself in the game, game of life, then I think you're going to find yourself way more functional, right? We just put out an ebook called the functional training for life, but it's functional training for life. And I think for the sport of life is kind of how we dubbed it. Coming from the athletic background, but that's really what we're doing. Life is a sport. We're training for that life sport.
Yeah.
And if you can find ways to stay in the game, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, movement is medicine, right? So if you can find a way to move every single day, I think that you're gonna be better off for it. And again, it comes back to that piece of, if you get to do it, you should do it. Right?
For sure.
And yeah, for me, it's similar to Jason, right? It's where are you at in maybe a certain exercise or a certain fitness class, or it could be really whatever, but how are you gauging where you were the day before, right? So am I showing up and am I getting 1% better, or am I kind of staying stagnant, or am I taking steps back, right? And that kind of just dictates to me how fit you are.
Or am I overly beating the shit out of myself every day and not moving forward? Because that's a big thing too. Inflammation, stress, all that sort of stuff that people don't realize.
All plays a part.
More is not necessarily better. Better is better, right?
Yes.
And I know you both subscribe to this. It's like when you wake up and you feel good and you have that gift of life and that breath. Today, good example, I just took the dogs for a walk and I was like, you know what, I feel amazing. So I went and I hiked the mountain,
Yes.
you know, and I did it with 20 pounds on my back, and I was like, yeah, you know, listen to my butt rock, and you know, and that's the thing. It's like waking up and sharing that message, which you guys do all the time on your social media. So I want to talk about that. How did the brotherhood, you know, come together and decide to start doing, you know, this project that you guys do, which is the Boone Brothers?
100%. I think it just started really with, there were so many things that we used in our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we drank athletic greens every day. We, you know, would use the hip halo bands when we warmed up. We would do, you know, all these things. I'm like, and Jason made the great point one day, like, what if we just started reaching out to these companies and said, hey, we use your stuff. You know, people do that. And I think when we started to understand our lifestyle and what it was we did on a very consistent and daily basis, we said, let's just throw this out there and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
This is what we do, this is what we love to do, and I feel like we can help a lot of people along the way. So why don't we just start a page?
Yeah.
Why not, right? You'll never know unless you start. We did it, and I mean, here we are.
You know, it's
Right?
great.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
great.
cool.
And we're going to promote all these pages. Everybody listening, you have to follow. You have to buy all their shit. I mean, just do it. I mean, please, for God's sakes. These guys are doing God's work, you know, or whatever you believe in. But, you know, here's the thing. Like, you're putting yourself out there, and that's, you know, a lot of times that can't be easy, and there's probably not many trolls with you guys. I mean, I don't even get a lot, you know. It's just one of those things where we're probably not getting penis pictures like Jeremy does, but you know.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen
No,
anything
okay,
else.
well,
No.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
see, we're good there.
There we go.
But you know, it's not work if you're passionate about it and you love doing it. And I'm sure the ACLA, what am I saying?
Acclaim.
Thank you. You know, all that stuff that you get back from people is so rewarding, right?
Yes.
You know, when people are saying, "Hey, you've
Very
helped
true.
us, you've done
Very
all
true.
that sort of stuff." Now, you both live in Atlanta?
No, I'm 2 hours outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
And I'm in Nashville.
You're in Nashville.
So
Okay.
About 4 hours away from each other.
Okay. So, how hard is it for you guys to get together, or how often do you?
We try to do it quarterly. His schedule he has the summers off, obviously being in teaching, so his schedule is probably a little bit more flexible than mine.
Yeah.
So he typically comes to Nashville when he has time off.
Yeah.
But we try to get together and do like a wellness retreat or brothers weekend at least once a quarter, and then we'll shoot a bunch of content when we're there. We found a way to kind of cut and edit a lot of the stuff that we do so that we can kind of get stuff out there when we're not physically together.
Yeah.
But it's I credit Malcom a ton with how well he's
on there all the
mastering that.
time, yeah.
He's making it happen. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, we you know figured out our whole motto is like eliminate excuses. So even if we're not together 24/7, we find ways to get stuff out there to the people and come at it sometimes with a little bit of a different approach. I think anybody that's been around us long enough knows that Malcom is probably a level or two ahead of me in both the fitness piece and the like recovery piece.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, now the roles are kind of reversed where I feel like I find myself chasing him in a lot of the fitness stuff. But it's good because he knows I'm always on his heels, and it gives him an ability to just kind of know he has to keep pushing. And it gives me something to kind of chase after in that respect also.
That's true brotherhood.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
that's what you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you talk a good point about Malcom, how the whole thing about recovery. Like when I first followed your page, it wasn't like, you know, like you're tossing around weight and
Right.
grunting and doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about the bands. It was about the stretching. It was about, and you know, the body shows.
Yes.
You know,
Thank you.
because it's one of these things where I think a lot of people always put in context that they have to do all this stuff to look like this, but if you can't move, I mean, you can't stretch. So how did you start really getting into the whole mobility and stretching and,
Yeah.
and all that?
I mean, honestly, DELO, it started when I was in college, and here's what I'll say about that. I used to take these warm showers in college, and in the shower, I would like do a lot of stretching. I would like, you know, do high knee stretch or hamstring stretch, whatever it was, and the guys in college would laugh at me.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What? Why are you stretching in the shower?" I'm like, "Well, why not? I don't know." And I was always sort of very flexible, so it got to the point where I just kind of just started. And then when we were overseas, I learned from some of the best trainers out there, and they started putting me in these positions I've never been in, and I slowly started to feel my body open up, and I'm like, wow, this is helping my squat, this is helping my lunge, this is helping, you know, my press, like everything. And so once I saw it from that angle, and on top of that, when other people started to see it and
Yeah.
notice it, and I was always very big into, you know, Division I athletes, like it's amazing. And when we were overseas, there were a ton of D1 guys. And so when they started to see, like, oh, this is little Malcom, like little Boone, like doing this.
Making a difference, yeah.
Making a little bit of a difference,
Yeah.
doing this, doing that. And that was like the pinnacle for me. And I was like, okay, now I got to keep going. And that was kind of all I needed. And yeah, the mobility was huge. And I noticed on the days where I don't do it, everything else suffers, you know.
Would you say when you guys were pro athletes, was stretching just kind of looked at as one of those things where, okay, you know, just kind of do, you know?
For some, for sure, for some, yeah. But I feel like we took it pretty seriously. You know,
sure.
Definitely. Just because we always wanted to get the most out of it. And there were days where we might have dogged it too, but for the most part, no, we showed up there and we locked in on it.
Yeah.
I had some coaches that made us do it after practice, and then myself and probably two of my other buddies would like stay even longer and do more stuff, you know. So it felt like one of those things where it's like the older I got, I needed to find a way to have this edge about how I was training, and I think a lot of it was like that recovery piece. So it might take me a little bit longer to get warmed up and be able to play a 2-hour practice, but I knew that if I did the things if I invested the 30 minutes after practice in recovering my body, then I'd be able to bounce back the next day and compete with guys who were 10 years younger.
1,000%,
So,
yeah. Let's talk about something important. Why are you guys in Arizona?
We are in Arizona for the Section 7 basketball tournament held at State Farm Stadium. We are holding our own space there, so it's a rest and recovery lounge.
Yep.
So we're able to leverage our partnership with Hyperice and bring in Normatec boots, bring in Theraguns,
Awesome.
knee compression, back warmers, meditation devices to introduce not only the physical recovery, but the mental recovery piece for a lot of these young athletes. They're here, they all want to play at the next level. We have done that, and so we want to introduce to them, hey, if you want to get an edge over your competitors, you know, but also yourself, we have to tap into the mental piece, the mental recovery through meditation, through breath work, but also the physical recovery as well. So, yeah, we're holding our own little room there. The coaches scan a little QR code, they make an appointment with us, they come in, they have a session, they're in the door, they're out the door, mentally and physically recovered, and moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure on these kids. You know, we remember what it's like to be recruited. You feel like, okay, I have 3 games this weekend to kind of get a full ride to a college. So these kids are putting a lot of pressure on themselves, and so you know, it's nonstop when you're in there. There's over 200 teams. They're playing. There's 12 full-length basketball courts. Games going. We're there tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. So there's games every hour on the hour. So there's a lot of kids coming through, and we just felt like if we could create a space where these kids can just get away for 15 minutes, you know, put their phone down, escape from the noise, you know, and just listen to a 5-minute meditation about, you know, how you're talking to yourself, preparing for the next game. Or even if you didn't have the best performance, hey, here's how you bounce back. Even if you did have a great performance, here's how you center yourself and get ready for the next game. So a lot of like the things that Kobe kind of popularized and LeBron James has talked about, and these guys they look up to anyway. And I think with our approach as being, you know, ex-athletes ourselves, it just kind of resonates a little bit more with that next generation. So
Yeah, using the gift for good.
Yeah.
I love it. And explain to people what Section 7 means or is so that they know.
Yeah, so it's a big basketball tournament, big recruiting tournament.
Okay.
But the difference is that it's not your typical summer AAU kind of tournament,
Okay.
right? So you're playing with a high school team. So your entire high school team would come out here and play in this tournament. There's a lot of teams from, I think, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, even some teams from like Washington and Oregon. But essentially, because it's a high school team, there has to be a scholastic or a teaching aspect to it. So the fact that Malcom was obviously in teaching, we leveraged some of our connections, like we said, at Hyperice, at Slam Magazine, and they said, hey, we are looking for somebody to teach the kids about meditation and wellness and recovery. And so they gave us an opportunity to kind of set up our own room, kind of gave us carte blanche, and we said, hey, we're going to come in and set it up the way we want to, and here we are.
Yeah, and that's a whole week, right?
Well, no, it's 2 different weekends. So last weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday was the girls, and today, tomorrow, excuse me, and Sunday will be the boys.
Okay, gotcha. And then, so what have you guys been doing in Arizona since when you have downtime, besides working out?
Man, we've been, besides working out, okay, that's definitely on the list. Just came from Jeremy Scott's this morning. We went to a couple different clients that Jason had to see.
Cool.
And we've been just kind of using it as a wellness time for us to recover, right? To be together, right? 'Cause
That's great.
That's what it's about. That connection and resetting on our own.
On your own, yeah. So Jason got clients out here, huh?
Yeah, so we went. Hilton is one of my biggest clients, and I went to go see the Biltmore, which is an amazing space. The team over there are great. They use my company internally to just show appreciation to their employees. There's over 900 of them there, and it's great to kind of see the gratitude piece and the people that I talk to on the phone, kind of meet them in person and interact with them. They actually were speaking to us about a wellness retreat that they do on their locations.
Okay.
There might be some synergy there.
Yeah.
And then a couple different schools that we visited. I knew Malcom obviously was a teacher, and we could see some of the schools that use us here. The Fusion Academy for one. And it was good to just be out for a week and just kind of hang out.
Just see all that stuff. Yeah. Look at houses for sale.
I love that plug.
So I don't want to. How do I say? Make the mood the mood here any grim or whatever. But I do want to talk about what I had heard on a podcast before. I want to talk about the car accident. Because there's two things here that go in my mind, and when I was listening to it, I was like, God, I really want to talk to these guys about this, because I wanted to kind of see how you are in a situation that you almost feel like you're going to lose your life, right? And then, as athletic as you guys are, you're hurt, and then you got to come back from that. And so, how instrumental was that in the aspect of just kind of, eye of the tiger afterwards, and really, mind and body?
So I'll start there. I was the driver of the car. We were in a car accident. We got hit by a drunk driver at like a yellow light. So we were in the intersection getting ready to make the yellow, and this guy blew through his red and T-boned us. So I'm in the driver's seat. My brother's in the passenger seat. Passenger seat got all the impact, so it happened really quick. He didn't have his headlights on, so it just kind of came out of nowhere. It felt like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
Airbags deployed, and when kind of everything settled, I just remember being in the car. This black smoke, and my brother was next to me, and he put his left hand on my right arm and said that he couldn't, he was having trouble breathing, and he couldn't get out of the car door. Like, the car door was jammed. So in my mind, as big brother, not really knowing what happened, my only instinct was get out of the car, rip the car door off, and get him out of the car, and then everything else we'll figure out once he's out the car. So summoned up some kind of strength, got out, ended up getting out of the car, went over to his side. There were actually people that were across the street that came over to kind of start helping. We finally got his door open, got him out the car. There was two guys in the back seat, and it was just mayhem for a while.
Right.
So, long story short, about 2 weeks later, found out that he had a broken sternum, so he couldn't do any kind of upper body movement. Everything was tough in terms of breathing. I ended up getting out with the least amount of physical injuries. Guy behind me had a concussion, broke both his hips. The guy on the other side had a big gash on his head. He was out of it for a couple days. So I kind of had to be the person who was there, dealing with everybody as they were in different rooms at the hospital. But basically, once we found out that everybody was going to be okay, there was a couple surgeries that had to happen. It was just this road to recovery. And I think that for a while, I'll kind of let Malcom speak on how he felt himself, but from my perspective, it was a lot more of the mental side that I had to deal with versus the physical side, which was probably just as difficult in that moment. But again, spoke to some professionals, dealt with it the way I had to deal with it, and I feel like I'm better for it.
100%, yeah. Made a positive out of it. And sure. you had work to do.
I had work to do. Still do. And I think, for me, it was the moment when the doctor told me, hey, you broke your sternum straight through, you separated your collarbone, and you're not going to be able to push, pull, twist, do anything with your upper body for the next 4 to 5 months. So that was something, when she said that, I felt just almost compressed in a way. And it was tough. It was tough because my lifestyle is geared around movement and around feeling good and training and recovery and doing all these things. I love to move. And so when she said that, I said, okay, I went instantly to my mind and I said, okay, what's the next step? Found myself in a little bit of a dark place for a while.
Yeah.
Didn't know kind of how to navigate this. And so I credit BJ Gaddour for helping me a ton. He ended up putting me on this lunge journey. He said, if you can walk, then you can lunge, right? So after a while, I ended up working on lunges. I started slow, 2 minutes a day, 2 minutes a day, worked up to 5, worked up to 6, 7, all the way up to an hour straight, continuous. And on top of that, you know, Jason pushing me along the entire time. David Goggins, I stopped listening to music, and I only, till this day, I don't listen to music when I train, unless I'm at Jeremy Scott's. But
Right. I made you listen to rap yesterday. Sorry.
But I usually train alone for the most part,
Yeah.
and I'm always just listening to a lot of the inspirational, motivational speakers.
What do you have on repeat? Who's gonna carry the boats?
Yeah, exactly. always come back to that one. Always. Yeah, between him, Jocko, you know, a lot of Eric Thomas, a lot of the big name guys out there, and it's never shifted. And that's why I said I still have work to do, because had I just gotten to an hour continuous of walking lunges and then just said, okay, that's it, I'm good, you know, I'm healed now, I'm fine, well, then I become stagnant, I become complacent, and that's never where I want to go in life in anything, not just with fitness, but I always want to grow in any element of life. And so I use that for almost everything I do. And there was a time there where that was all I saw.
Yeah.
And that became a mental burden on top of a mental burden, because everything had to be go hard in everything you do, and you never take your foot off the gas.
Right.
So I was in a darker place for a while, because I didn't see anything else, and anybody that wasn't there with me had to move. And so that created problems with relationships, that created problems with myself and family and things like that. And so now I'm in this stage where I understand that I can turn it on and I can turn it off. You know, but I can go to that place because I never forget that moment. Right. And that past and where I came from in that regard.
Yeah, it's just glad you guys are both here.
Absolutely.
You know, it's amazing. You can learn from those stories. And one of the things that had resonated with me in it was the fact that it was a drunk driver. And you guys know what I do for a living. I insure over 400 bars and restaurants. And so I insure them for the fact that when somebody leaves their establishment, they've been overserved, there's actually insurance coverage for that sort of thing if they're held negligible. And it just strikes me as unfathomable that somebody would leave not being able to operate a motor vehicle, you know? And by no means am I preaching, because there were dark days in my past where, you know, I did shit that I probably shouldn't have been doing.
Right, all been there.
But it's, but it's scary. Here you got, you know, 4 dudes in a car just trying to get to point A to B, and it changes your life, and it could have not gone that well, you know, as well as it ended up being. So, it's just, you know, it's a deep message for everybody listening, you know, just don't be an asshole, you know, just
get the Uber.
Yeah, get the Uber, or now the Waymo, the thing that you don't even have to have a driver.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
crazy.
We've seen a couple of them around here.
Yeah.
Scottsdale has way more of them than Nashville for sure. But
It's crazy.
Awesome.
Let's talk about real quick your daily activities. I kind of want to hear each one of you, just like your regimens, because people are like really interested to hear like what other people do.
Sure.
So, Jason.
So typically, I like to work out first thing in the morning. So I'm up. My alarm usually goes up about 4:45 a.m. I feel like my body wakes me up at about 4:43 every morning, and I have that battle where I'm like, do I just close my eyes and wait for the alarm to go off, or do I just hop up? So
2 minutes.
I have that like inner battle first thing in the morning. On the weekends, I try to take a cold shower right out of the bed. My brother does that every day, and I was with him in Atlanta for one of our wellness weekends, and I got a chance to witness it. I'm not to the point where I do it every day now, just because I blame it on the fact that I wake up my girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. But typically on the weekends, I like to just hop in the shower first thing out of the bed. I like to work out first thing. So I go downstairs, I have this like 25-minute warm-up routine that I typically do. And then I'll either go to a gym and work out. I have this metabolic class pass that I do. It's kind of like CrossFit without the barbell.
Okay.
So it always has like a boxing element to it, which I like to do. But they'll get you on the ski and the row and push you a little bit harder than you would if you're kind of working out by yourself. Otherwise, I have a nice gym in my building, so I'll do probably like a 45 to hour workout, incorporate some sort of stability, some sort of mobility, and then some sort of recovery. So now I'm usually back up in my apartment, showered, out the door by 8 a.m. I typically like to carve out about 15 or 20 minutes to meditate or journal, sometimes both. As soon as I get to the office, have a full work day, I try to get up every hour on the hour and just do some kind of movement. So if I find myself sitting for 60 minutes, I have to get up and move for at least 6 and kind of break it out that way throughout the work day. And then typically when I come home at night, I'm 1 meal a day usually. So I'll either bring food to the office, like a meal that I've prepped over the course of like probably on the weekend. And then I'll eat that meal at work, come home, and usually have like a snack, a banana, some yogurt, or something like that. But usually kind of eat my calories all in one meal. No caffeine, so no coffee, no tea, nothing like that. But yeah, kind of consume that all in that like 2-3 hour window.
Yeah.
And then come home and then usually stretch.
So that's pretty simple. I mean, it's a real. Now, do you have business dealings where you have to go out to lunch or you have to deal with that sort of stuff? And
Typically,
you're like,
yes, and I'll kind of shift my window based on that. And not a big drinker. Don't drink a ton. Sometimes for work, I have to kind of be social.
Right.
But usually it's like a tequila soda, and I'll just keep filling up like soda water in that same kind of cup. Keep squeezing some limes in there and kind of fake the funk until it's over. But yeah, typically, I'm Monday through Friday, I'm like that. Weekends, kind of give myself a little bit more leeway. I'll have either like a refeed meal where I'll eat a little bit more of the stuff I like to eat, or I'll kind of go off the beaten path and have a pizza or have a burger or something like that. But yeah, pretty disciplined throughout the course of the week. I found myself, I'm like a former fat guy. Me and BJ always joke around, like my body could. I've been up to 280 before. I probably walk around now at like 240.
Okay.
But I want to get down to probably like I feel my best at like 232, 235.
completely shredded.
So yeah,
I know where you're going.
is where I want to be at all times. Right now, I'm planning a trip to Italy with my girlfriend.
Oh, cool.
So kind of tightening up for that.
And then pack it back on when you go out there. How about you, Malcolm?
So yeah, 3 a.m. Monday through Friday. Alarm clock goes off. I'm up, cold shower immediately, and out the door by usually 3:15, 3:20. In the gym by 3:30. Sauna always before my workout, just for a little bit, get the muscles loose, mobility in there, and then I train for about usually 45 minutes, hour, give or take. Always mobilize after. Back in the sauna for another 20 minutes or so. Cold shower again, and then I'm usually back home by about 5 a.m. or so, give or take. And then, I always jump into my Normatec boots. Shout out to Jason, got those for me last Christmas. So those have been such a game changer. So I'm always in those. I drink 1 cup of matcha a day in that time frame. I journal. I will also, I have these diffusers in my room. So I'll always set diffusers as I'm in the Normatec boots, and planning planning the content for the day. So it's always just a way for me to just kind of ease into my day. I do not like to be rushed. So I know 3 a.m. is like, wow, we won't be, right? But I love to give myself that time to just decompress, to just, again, journal, drink tea, plan the day, and coast into my day. And then once I get to work, I'm there till about 4 o'clock. Come home, I'll eat my 1 meal.
One meal?
Some 1 meal a day.
How do you big boys eat one meal and keep all that muscle on? Is it a big meal? Is it like 8 chicken breasts?
Fairly, yeah. And sometimes, it'll be...
We have a lunch over there. That
I can show you. You do?
I'll show before we...
We'll pull that out before we go, for sure. But just a ton of protein. And if it is ever 2 meals a day, it's usually just heavier on the protein front earlier in the day, and then space it out, and then maybe a little bit.
It's what works for you.
It's what works. And so, I feel like we know our body. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm really dragging. I had a really tough workout. I'm like, the tank is emptied. Right? So I need to do a little more today. But on top of that, then I'll finish the day, come home, eat. I always do mobility, and on top of that, the meditation is always in the morning too. So I always meditate. That's the first part I left out.
Let's start your day right.
Wake up, as soon as I wake up, I grab my meditation device.
Cool.
So it's always by my bed. Boom, grab it. 3 minutes, cold shower, and then everything else I just mentioned. Mobility before bed every night. I never miss. And Yeah, I'm just.
I love your cooking stuff. I mean, I watch it on
Oh, I
Instagram and
love
I
to cook.
imitate some of that stuff. Yeah.
You're not the first person that's told us that, so I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no,
Thank
it's
you.
great, man.
Really,
yeah, and it's clean food that's just
Absolutely.
made to be, joyful. I mean, that's the thing. We don't need all this other shit. We just need to eat food.
You do.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you eat 6 meals a day or
Doesn't
one.
matter.
Just
Doesn't
eat
matter.
food,
Yeah.
right? Because you're gonna
Real
get
food.
food.
Real.
Yeah,
That's right.
How often do you guys see Mama?
I probably see her more than Jason. I go home for every holiday, so Thanksgiving, all the big ones, Christmas, we're there. But then I also have more breaks. So
Yeah.
I have a spring break, I go to Florida. I have summer break, I go to Florida. So now that's where they're at. They're not in New York anymore. So yeah, I just try and be around them as much as I can, just because we're all getting older, right?
100%.
And obviously, the more time goes on, it's we start going our ways.
Yeah.
And, I value the time with them and just try and see them as much as I can.
Yeah, well, I had to give her a shout out because she likes me.
Appreciate
on
that. She loves to do that. She loves that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, when I make it back out to the ATL for one of my reunions or something like that, I keep promising that I'm going to do that one day, but I'm just trying to figure out when the mosquitoes aren't hanging around as much.
You should come Labor Day. We're setting up a
yeah.
kettlebell festival.
Are you really?
So we got some people that we connected with through Kettlebell Kings, and a bunch of us trainers are going to be out there for a weekend, Labor Day weekend, and we're going to put together like a big kettlebell festival. And people that can come, they can come. It's like $120. You can sign up for the
Oh, wow.
weekend. And all the best kettlebell trainers that you can imagine are going to be there running courses, running classes.
Nice.
You just kind of pop up and talk to them. So that's kind of another door that's been opened through kind of just like the connections that we've made in this
Yeah.
fitness world. So
And that's in Atlanta
it's gonna be
proper?
in Atlanta proper.
Yeah. I grew up. I should show you guys. I grew up watching the Braves back when like Dale Murphy and Bob Horner and Fulton County Stadium was
Yeah.
like this, just old crusty pile of crap, and it was great. I actually played baseball in Little League there for the All Stars in Fulton County Stadium.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
you're
Stud.
like,
Yeah, right.
so, all right, well, cool. I know you guys got some stuff to do today, so we're going to finish this off with some rapid fire questions.
Ooh, I like
Because I
that.
know if you listened to the podcast before. Let's talk about walking lunges. How long can we go now?
Oh, over an hour for sure.
Cool.
Easily.
I can go 1 minute less than Malcolm because I know as soon as I stop,
And when I listened to that podcast, I'm not shitting you. I went outside and I did 20 minutes of walking lunges. I'm like,
I
okay, you
remember
got
that.
me motivated.
There's a beat.
Yeah, I
Tagged
sent
us.
you. Yeah, I
tagged
tagged
us,
you.
yeah. Repost immediately.
So funny. Chicken or steak?
Steak.
steak every time.
Every time. Rambo or Terminator?
Terminator.
Terminator.
Van Halen or AC/DC?
AC/DC.
Correct. I think everything Malcolm's saying I'm going to agree with. I'll chime in if it's opposite,
Little
but
bro.
I feel like
Little
everything
bro.
he's saying, he's nailing it.
Germany or Italy?
Germany.
Aliens or Bigfoot?
Bigfoot.
I might go aliens with that one.
All right, I like that. I have an alien thing here. Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out?
In and out.
Neither. But if I had to choose, I would say In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Choice.
Speaking of, do either one of you like splurge on any weird fast food? Or you just see it like poison? Like I see alcohol as poison, even though I make a living off of it. But
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's that mind game for me.
For me, I just think I've been out of it for so long.
Yeah, it doesn't
and
even interest you.
It doesn't, yeah. And
Yeah.
I feel like I would feel terrible right away because of what
100%.
we cook and what we use in our food.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Dave
right? So, no.
Dave Asprey said it the best.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you,
No, please.
but
Say.
he was talking about on one of his podcasts. Somebody was telling him, "Yeah, just drive by the McDonald's, turn left, this and that," and it was in an area that he lives in, and he's like, "I don't even know where that McDonald's is." You get it?
Amazing.
Like you don't
Yeah.
even see it. You don't even recognize it.
Right.
Yeah, that's such a great point, DELO. I got to go back to this real quick.
Yeah.
We did a fast food during March Madness. We did a little fast food.
I remember that. That's why I brought it up. I saw it on your feed. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And we were trying to figure out what fast food chains we had in our area. And so I was talking to Jason. I said, "Well, which ones do you have near you?" He told me. He said, "Which ones do you have near you?" And I said, "Well, I know I have a McDonald's or Burger King because I see them." But then I didn't even know I had a Dairy Queen. There's a Cinnabon,
Yeah.
there's a Wendy's, and they're literally right off the beaten path. But I had no idea because I'm always here. I know where I'm going, I know where I'm getting to, and I know when I'm leaving, and I know where I'm going to. So it was just crazy to see.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
funny to
reason you
hear
mentioned
that.
Yeah, love that.
Cigar or marijuana?
Marijuana.
Marijuana.
Cold plunge or assault
Cold
bike?
plunge. Christmas Day, I'll never
No
forget it.
hesitation.
Yeah, yes. Christmas Day, my parents, they were, again, I told you they just moved from New York.
Yeah.
They had this pond. They lived on a pond. Right.
Okay, that video too
Amazing.
killed me. I'm like, you
Amazing.
are nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was
I
saying
was a
that.
big Wim Hof guy.
Yeah, Wim
Deep
Hof's
breath,
best.
Into the cold.
Yeah.
Love it.
We got to do that next time you're in town.
Let's do it.
What about you? Cold plunge or assault bike?
Man, I've
gosh.
been on the assault bike a lot more this week than I have in a long time.
335
and it is
pounds.
not fun. I would say cold plunge, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Let's see. That's all I got.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow,
that's
D.
all my rapid fire questions.
1, 2, 3. We'll take
you
them.
guys did great. So, okay, where can everybody follow you and give you some love and all that sort? And I'll put it all in show notes.
For sure. Yeah, so we're on basically all the big social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, at the Boons Doc, TheBoonesDoc, and YouTube, Twitter. We're on pretty much everything. Working on the website right now. It'll be updated by this weekend or so. And yeah, you can catch us there.
Yeah, very active, very responsive.
Absolutely.
Very nice to look at.
Thank you, sir.
You guys
Appreciate
get your
that.
work done. Yeah,
100%.
you know, it's all about energy and love, man. At the end of the day, you guys are spreading a positive message. And like for me, my goal before I crumble like Obi-Wan did, just disappeared under the blanket. Yeah. Like I want to spread as much love and joy. And when you run into people such as yourselves and Jeremy and all these other people that, are here to spread that word of health and wellness, that's what's important. And thank you so much for coming to my event.
Oh,
that was fun. We did Qigong in the park together.
Unforgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a post coming out around that too, so I think you really like that.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy week in Arizona, and we'll do some more stuff together.
Absolutely.
And thank you everybody for listening to On the DELO. Please, I'll as I copy Jeremy on this, please give me a 5-star and subscribe, and don't be a lazy ass. Right.
That's right. Right.
And you can follow me at I am the DELO. And until next time, peace out.
Thank you, sir.